Hello everyone, I'm the Cool Brand, and I main John Connor, the most skillful character in all of Dead by Daylight, and that makes me the most interesting person in the Dead by Daylight community.
Hey Cool Brand, since you're so cool, could you give me any tips on how to play the Legion?
Legion? You gotta be kidding me, this has gotta be a joke. Legion has literally zero skill expression. None, absolutely zero. You are an idiot.
Okay, I mean, they're pretty simple, but even the simplest characters usually have like guides and long videos made about how to play them well. I just was looking for more of stuff like that.
Well, it doesn't exist because I'm the Cool Brand and I'm maining a hard killer, which makes me better than you. I'm the greatest DBD player to ever exist because I have the most goated, nuanced, based opinions in the Dead by Daylight community. Simple killer mains like you could never understand just how much effort I've spent learning complex killers in Dead by
Jeez, I just wanted to learn more about the character that I like. Hey, let's get out of here. This guy's probably going to be ranting for a while.
Super cool and definitely cooler than you. Maybe one day you'll learn how to move on to a real character, but clearly that's not today because you main that garbage can with the knife Legion. You're never going to be able to amount to anything in the DBD community if you don't get your opinions based real fast. Hey, are you even listening?
Whenever there is a drought in Dead by Daylight content, whenever we don't have any new chapters, perks, killers, survivors, anything out for a while, usually we get a little squirrely here in the DBD community, and usually people find something niche to get up in arms and freak out about. At least it is the tried and true, oh my gosh, DBD is dying again, because I feel like we've gone to that well way too many times. We gotta come up with new material. But now actually we have something new and fresh to argue about just pointlessly until the new chapter comes out, and that being which killers are skillful and which are easy. This whole controversy became popular because of the popular creator Pepto-Bismol. Kaido made a video talking about which characters are the most difficult, meaning which ones take the most skill to pull off consistently, and ranked them all. And some of the rankings were questionable at best.
Difficulty is a 5. I think this is the hardest killer in the game.
Kaido did try to say in a pinned comment that this is a subjective list, not an objective list, but you're giving a subjective opinion on something that can kind of, at least for the most part, be objectively proven. I guess flat earthers just have a subjective opinion about the world being flat instead of round. We should really let them get away with that because we don't want to affect their opinions. The difficulty or quote-unquote skill that it takes to play a character consistently and well will always have a margin of error to some extent because it's something that's not easy to nail the requirements for down all the time. However, when comparing somebody like, say, Artist to somebody like Current Myers, it's pretty easy to tell which one of these takes a lot more effort to play consistently and well. So what goes into that? We can often base this on a skill floor or how much effort you need to put into a character to begin to play well consistently, skill ceilings, which is how far do you have to keep learning in order to master a killer, and the overall execution like flicks, techs, etc. Think, for example, a great character that would be high difficulty would be Plague, because she has a higher skill floor and skill ceiling with having to micromanage spreading her, well, plague, controlling areas of the map, learning how to use the corrupt plague and when to even grab it, when is it a bad time to grab it, that sort of thing. Whereas Myers is mostly reduced to, well, you just kind of stare at people, you tear up, you insta down them, boom. Of course, it's more nuanced than that, and trust me, we'll get into that later, but most of your efficiency and skill curve revolve around doing very, very simple things. My gripe is this has now spawned legions and legions, no pun intended, legions and legions of Dead by Daylight content creators and community members making their own quote-unquote skillful tier lists. And there's some disturbing trends that I've noticed among them. While you're making your own skillful tier list, on the surface, it's basically harmless. People have been using this to absolutely shit on people for the characters that they play, or worse, act high and mighty because they mean a character that's more complex and difficult than yours. Say what you want about Kaido's video, but they mostly avoided the term of saying this character is completely skillless, there's nothing in depth about this character at all. Even Cloud, who they were kind of unfair to, but we'll get to that later as well, they still say, well, there's that big guide and there's a lot you can do with the bottles. Like, they throw them a bone even then. But a lot of these content creators that are making lists out here straight up have a no skill curve or skill list section to their tier list. They are saying that your character, if it's not complex, may have absolutely zero skill expression whatsoever, which is just completely objectively not true at all. Let's take a look at Myers, for example, that we just brought up as an example of a low difficulty killer to play. How many of you knew, just by a show of hands that I can't see because it's a YouTube video, who knew that Myers suffers a minus 25% debuff to whenever they're stalking while moving? That's right, you actually stalk faster or get stalk points faster when you're standing completely still. That's why when you watch people that main current Myers, that if they can afford to, they actually stand still while they're stalking because they're quite literally getting stalked faster. I mean, one of the characters that you find very frequently at the bottom of a lot of these tier lists is the clown. Supposedly he's just brainless and there's no skill expression at all. Do I have to remind you of this? If this character is not skillful at all, then how in the hell did Arnon make a guide for this character that is currently sitting at 214 pages? That sounds like a character that has no skill expression at all. The point being is that even the quote-unquote low-skill killers in Dead by Daylight have some examples of efficiency, text, macro, and micro knowledge. There are certainly characters that have less, like Legion of Myers, but no character is absolutely skillless or have no difficulty. So if you're out there viewing a bunch of these tier lists and you see a no-skill category, wrong. Throw that in the garbage. Throw it in the trash. The other part of this is obviously the high and mighty ego that DBD players get if they're maining one of those perceived high difficulty killers. Man, I've seen a lot of people chucking some very, very like moderately difficult characters like Demogorgon, for example, and chucking them way down low into almost skillless for a lot of tier lists. And a lot of these mid characters are getting really bullied by these tier lists. And usually when I see the responses to why is this character that's moderately difficult and almost not difficult at all on your tier list, usually the response is, well, I mean, Wesker, what you do is nowhere near as difficult as what I do, so your character is easy and brain dead. Like, brother, that's not how this works, and that's not the point. Just because your main is difficult doesn't mean everyone else is a f***ing peasant by comparison. But I guess if you started honestly entertaining the idea that the characters that are outside your top 5 super complex difficult killers are actually somewhat difficult, that might hurt your ego a little bit, and we can't have that now, can we? I think it goes without saying, well, apparently not, but if you use your own skillful tier list to shit on other people, you're a loser. Don't do that. Let people enjoy what they want and be open to understanding that even low skill characters have some sort of nuance to them that matters. I've also seen people just like take their characters, which are realistically kind of like in that moderate zone, and just like skyrocket them up to being like super difficult, which is really funny to see. I've seen some pretty simple killers in people's top 5 most skillful just because they happen to main the character. So don't be like the inverse of those guys that are like, my character is so complex and you suck, but don't be dishonest either. I'm gonna be so real, almost no one who's making these tier lists even like really know what they're talking about. Realistically, they can only account for roughly, just a guesstimate, like half of the characters that they're even ranking. Do you know why you never see on this channel the objective DBD killer strength tier list? It's because I don't play every character in the game and I don't do a lot of research on every character in the game. You know why? Because it's darn near impossible. Even Starva, who makes their objective strength killer tier list, gets things wrong sometimes. It is really difficult to have a good beat on how strong every character in the game is. There are a lot of characters in this game that I will put right here because my memory is not very good. So being able to be an expert on all of them is frankly impossible. It's hard to know every character inside and out and know what makes them tick. Love you, horse. I don't even know what like Sadako's even doing these days. They reworked her like 69 times. You might as well toss her dusty ass back into the well. But the point being is because I don't have that intimate knowledge of each character, I'm not going to pretend I do and then rank them and pretend I'm a source of authority on them. Do I know a lot of them? Sure. Either I play them myself or I watch a lot of character experts play them and take notes and try to be generally aware of how good or skillful certain characters are. But unless I feel confident in my awareness of all of them, I'm not going to say this character is objectively strong or they're objectively suck or they're objectively skillful. I'm not going to do stuff like that because unless I know for sure, I'm just spreading misinformation. I'm just making guesswork and then say, source, trust me, bro.
My source is that I made it the up.
I just wish people showed more restraint when it came to like these resources, quote unquote, that people make, because it spreads misinformation. It can sour a community's thoughts on a character for nothing more than just guesswork. It's fun to make tier lists, and Kaido's video really sparked a conversation throughout the DBD community about how difficult is each killer really. Though while you're out there checking on these other takes, or even if making some yourself, be sure to realize that even the lowest skilled characters have some level of skill expression to them. And also don't be one of those losers that goes on an ego trip and says, well, I made a really difficult character, so I'm better than you. Especially not better than these people that are low skill mains. I mean, why even dunking on people in the big 25? Lord knows that 2025 has been a difficult year for Dead by Daylight, and that has all affected us negatively to some extent or another. So to take something that should be fun, like a, how difficult are these killers, and turning it into an us versus them and a belittling and just nasty bullying thing, it's like, ew, it gives me the ick, and it's just... It frustrates me a lot, so just try to be kind out there. The holidays can be a happy time for a lot of people, but it can also be a really bad time. Some people's families don't mix well. Seasonal depression is in full swing. I know that's been killing me, man. So I think the worst thing you could be out here doing is like bullying somebody over the fact that they play Legion out here. Like, that's so not important at all. And the point of this whole difficulty tier list thing, at its original point, was to just have some fun. So let's make sure we don't lose the plot and just have some fun.